Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Voices for Change 2.0, the only podcast that focuses on mental health while mixing in movies, music, books, sports, and pop culture. Here are your hosts, Rebecca and Joe Lombardo.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Voices for Change 2.0.
Good morning, Twitterverse or whatever. I
settle down.
I didn't plan that well. And that's the sound of crashing and burning. Thank you very much. So thanks for being with us today, guys.
Yeah, we are glad to have you. We're glad for those of you that have stuck with us through these last couple of weeks where we had some health concerns and we weren't able to do a new show. So thank you for listening to the shows that we did put out there.
Yes.
And thanks for hanging in there with us.
Absolutely. It's crazy. They're saying that the flu going around right now, they haven't seen it this bad since the flu pandemic of 2009. So stay healthy out there, everybody.
Yeah, really. We each got a different variation on our illnesses. So
yeah.
Just because somebody has one thing doesn't mean you're not going to get something else.
Exactly. So, really quick, a couple of things I wanted to bring up before we have our guest on. Number one, I wanted to mention this. I always think of this whenever our intro music plays, mm-hmm. and I've never said anything about it in the year plus that we've been using it.
Okay.
Do you ever pay attention to the opening drums behind what our announcer guy is saying? It reminds me of the drum noises that they make whenever people would start running on Scooby-Doo.
Oh, for the love of it.
So I always think of that when I hear it, and it just puts a smile on my face, just a little chuckle.
Probably something that you could have shared with me in private.
Yeah, but now everybody else will think of it too, and that'll put a smile on their face. So yay.
One can hope.
Yeah. The other thing though is the Olympics. The Olympics started this week, and
I'm so excited for figure skating.
And I'm not, but I'll watch it with Beck anyway because it's kind of cool watching that, and go Team USA. And
yeah, we watched the opening ceremony last night, and it was really impressive. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was. I felt really bad for them kids that kept having to dance for like 2.5 hours straight. I was getting tired. Yeah, I was getting tired watching them. But
go USA.
Go Team USA. We got the snowboarders in the background right now, and that's just kind of amazing, because I remember when that first became a thing when I was a kid, and thinking, wow, that's really cool. I wish I could do it, and I don't have balance at all, so I never got into skateboarding or anything like that. My friends would, and I would try, and I would fall terribly. And that's why I play guitar. So, anyway, go Team USA, and yay.
So today's an important show for us. We are thrilled to be speaking with a highly respected physician, author, and teacher. She's spreading a message of health and wellness, which is something that we all can get on board with. So please welcome to the show, Dr. Beth Frates.
Thank you so much, Becca and Joe, for inviting me to be with you this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
It is our pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to talk to our humble little program.
Oh, no, it's fantastic. I was really looking forward to it all week.
Yay.
That's great.
It's nice to know that we were somebody that somebody looked forward to.
Look forward to it.
Yeah,
that's impressive. So, do you have any questions for us before we jump in?
Well, how could I make this the most successful show possible for you? What can I provide that will, do you think, really make an impact?
Lengthy answers.
And tolerate my terrible jokes. That would be the big one. Just
those
tolerate
two things? Well, I don't think you have terrible jokes. I'm already with you with the Scooby-Doo. I enjoy Scooby-Doo myself. So, and I am a lecturer, a teacher. I love to give lengthy answers. So it sounds like we're going to get along perfectly this morning.
All right, great.
Awesome.
Yeah, we love somebody who will talk our ears off as opposed to just grunts.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're not big fans of no, no.
All right.
Okay, so we've been partnered perfectly, I believe.
Yes.
So to start with, how would you like to tell us how long you have been teaching at Harvard Medical School?
Sure. I can explain a little bit about my path to medicine as well as
Yes, absolutely.
what I'm currently doing, if that makes some sense.
Sure.
Okay, so when I was younger, I thought I would go into business, and it wasn't until my own father had a heart attack and stroke when I was 18 that I changed majors in college from economics to biology and psychology and became pre-med. And really due to my own experience watching my father's health setback, his heart attack and stroke, leaving him paralyzed on the left side, and then his full recovery and his complete lifestyle change, that I became fascinated with the brain, with behavior, and how to lead a healthy life for not just body, but for mind. Because I'm not sure how old you guys are. You look very young on your photos when I've seen you. But
God bless you.
If you remember back to the 80s, I don't think you guys were born, but the concept in the 80s was a type A behavior, hostility. The hostility factor was the piece of that personality that was felt to be most linked to heart disease. So I have been fascinated with stress, mental health, as well as exercise, diet, stress management, sleep, for a long, long time. And yes.
I was just going to say, no, we both remember the 80s quite well.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We are, yeah, no.
So you remember type A behavior, that language.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
yeah.
Did you guys feel you were a type A or a B?
Oh, I'm definitely a type B. I'm definitely more of a laid back type, go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, growing up, I was one of those kids that if somebody tried to use negative reinforcement on me, it didn't work, and I would throw up my hands and give up and walk away. So that didn't push me at all. You know, I had to find it in myself to do stuff.
Yeah, I guess I would be type A if I had to choose.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I married a type A. So.
And look at how beautifully you get along. I read 15 years married happily. So sometimes, as we all know, opposites attract, and these things can work in synergy actually when they're mixed and matched the way that you two are. For the heart, Joe is leading the way for health in terms of what your heart probably looks like compared to a type A person. I must admit, you might guess, am I type A or type B? Go ahead, try and just guess.
Ooh.
It's a hard one.
I'm gonna say just because of the field that you changed into and doing it when you did and what you went through and everything, I could see you being a type A.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate, Joe.
Well, I'm quite astute.
Yeah, and I have to say, I realized that in the 80s that I was following the path of my own father, workaholic, study, work hard, and I didn't want to end up with a heart attack and stroke like him. So there's a lot of personal interest in my own academic endeavors, which is, you'll find the case for many physicians. But back to the type A, I'm sorry, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've probably heard that from other physicians or even...
Yeah. You get, there's something that happens in your life that kind of spurs you or motivates you to go into that type of medical field. I mean, you've got the guys that are out there that are like, well, you make great money being a doctor, and that's what, and I want the money, and that's what I'm going for. But I think a lot of it is the altruism of it, and or they see a family member or loved one go through something, they go, well, I want to know how to fix that. And there's a lot deeper motivation to it than just dollar signs, and thank God for that.
Right. You're so right, Joe. Exactly. And in fact, when I went into medicine back in college, I went to shadow some physicians because no one in my family is a physician. They're all business people. And the physicians in the 80s told me not to pursue medicine. They said I should go back into business because medicine was changing. And there was a big change back in the 80s. It's actually even obviously changed since then. But the days of physicians making a lot of money, to be honest, they're long gone. So most people now, when they're going into it, they really are either fascinated with the biology, neurochemistry, or they are real healers, and they just want to spend time healing, connecting, and caring. So that I was a combination of both when I first went into medicine, fascinated with the brain and the recovery, how my dad could not move the left side of his body, and then after a year of therapy could, and he actually recovered, and how his mental...
Which is awesome.
It's we're so grateful, right, that he made it through that real severe health setback and was able to lead his best 27 years of his life after his heart attack and stroke. It really, truly was a wake-up call for him and for all of us in the family to try to have more of a balance in life. And he was a lovely human, a loving, caring father, but there was certainly a lot of stress. He ran his own company in New York City, and he wasn't hostile to me or to others in a violent way, but he had that, what we call that hostility factor, which is the dangerous part of that type A personality. And I was fascinated by that. So back then I was involved with an interesting study where we stressed people mentally and we looked at their heart at the same time. So I was just a student, so I was the stressor, which, by the way, was a terrible position to be in. I was the mental stressor. I had to go in to the patient's room and ask them to do serial sevens. And this was very hard for me. In fact, I was reprimanded the first one or two patients. They said I was too smiley, I was too nice, and I needed to go in there with a more strict and severe facial expression as well as body language because I was meant to be mentally stressing them. So I did this. I went to the patients and I would ask them to take 100, subtract 7. They would say 93. I would say subtract 7 again, and we would do what's called serial 7 subtractions. And if they got it wrong, I'd say wrong, try again, go faster, that's wrong. And sure enough, you could see changes in the heart, in the way the heart was beating, in the blood flow. As you know, we have arteries that feed the heart, coronary arteries they're called. So these are just arteries that feed the heart. We have arteries all over our bodies that feed our brains, our muscles, everything. And the blood flow to the heart was restricted in many patients when they were undergoing this mental stress. Now, back in the 80s, Herb Benson here at Harvard, I'm in Boston now, Herb Benson was doing a lot of work around stress, but he was not well accepted. In fact, many physicians and academics did not believe in the connection between stress and heart disease or stress and changes in heart function. But I was a firm believer because I saw it with my own two eyes. So I have been fascinated with stress and how our mental state affects our physical function and our biology.
Yeah.
So that really led me into medicine. And when I started at medical school, I thought I'd be a psychiatrist. I was a biology and psychology major in college, and I really thought psychiatry would be a great fit for me because I wanted to work on people's stress levels. But I also became fascinated with the heart and the brain. So I instead went into a field that sounds a lot like psychiatry, and many people confuse it. It's called physiatry, Physiatry, physiatry. And this is a specialty that specializes in trauma to the central nervous system or musculoskeletal system. So central nervous system means if there were a stroke or a traumatic brain injury or a spinal cord injury. If there's trauma to the musculoskeletal system, this could be anything from back pain to an amputation. So we, in our own field, subspecialize. I went into stroke, mostly because, again, the fascination with the brain and the psychology of it, because I saw my own father go from a very powerful, strong father and president of a company to someone that could not talk, walk. And one experiences a lot of psychological changes when one has such an experience. And I like to be that beacon of hope for people. Not everyone has the same recovery as my father, as you well know, because you see people who are paralyzed on one side after a stroke, and some people cannot speak. So not everyone has the same recovery. My father was very lucky with his biology and his recovery. But I enjoy that piece of the practice where we help people to find their optimal best selves post-health setback, so post-stroke. So I went into and trained in physiatry here in Boston and became a faculty member at Harvard Medical School at that time, back in '96. And then I started teaching as a resident at the medical school, central nervous system, musculoskeletal system, and other core courses to the medical students, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And since then, I wrote a book about preventing a second stroke, which led me into this field of lifestyle medicine. So you thought you never heard of physiatry, and you thought, oh, I'm learning something new. Well, here's another new one. Lifestyle medicine is a burgeoning specialty of medicine. We, in fact, had our first certification examination in October 2017, where there are now physicians that are board certified in lifestyle medicine. And this is the area of medicine where we focus in on exercise prescriptions, nutrition prescriptions, sleep prescriptions, stress management prescriptions, social connection prescriptions. So it is really, to me, a passion, a perfect fit, because I have always been fascinated with fitness, with nutrition, especially after my father's heart attack and stroke, watching his diet change so dramatically and watching his health and mental and physical health become so much better. And then sleep and social connection. They're all things I'm actually passionate about personally and professionally. So it's just a really wonderful career for me. And many of my students now, I teach a course in lifestyle medicine at Harvard Extension School for a master's program in psychology, as well as for undergrads. And I have created a syllabus that you can download if you're interested in lifestyle medicine and you're looking for references or videos that hit the different areas I've highlighted. You can Google American College of Lifestyle Medicine and my name, Beth Frates, and syllabus, and it will pop up. You just have to put in your name, and you can get I think it's a 60-page syllabus that I've shared. It's free. I just want to share the knowledge with everyone. So that's the teaching piece, which I truly love, teaching the students. But I think equally I love caring for patients. I call them clients now because my practice is in lifestyle medicine, and it's out of the box. It's not a traditional medical practice. I walk with my patients. Primarily, they are experiencing a health setback, such as a new diagnosis of diabetes or heart disease, or they have just been told their BMI puts them in the obesity category and they want to become healthier and avoid any severe health setbacks like heart attack and stroke. So I walk with my patients every visit, rain or shine. Yes, there are some times when we can't go out, but primarily, mostly we go outside, and if I do a phone call, we'll both be walking outside together, and we talk about exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress management, and mental attitude, sense of purpose in life, which can change from when we're 15 to 25 to 35, when we're 55, when we're post-stroke, when we're, after we go through a hard time, after a father passes away, or we have a trouble with a child, or there's some addiction in the family, or things change, and we may change our purpose. But that's what I do.
Okay, well, that is an awesome answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. You covered a couple more of our questions, so we're going to have to
great. Good.
Scramble a little bit.
Well,
it's good. It's very good.
No,
okay.
that was a great answer, and I actually I'm curious to investigate lifestyle medicine now that you talk about it, because it
something
generally sounds intriguing,
Yeah, we'll have to talk a little bit more about it after the break, because we've got to take our first break.
Sure.
So here is Blake McIver's Start to Believe.
Staring down that long and winding road, I felt like I could never start again. Flipping through the pages of my broken life, just remembering when, before I was yours, I just stumbled through my feeble lives. But now you bring me all I could ask for. You give me all that I need, and baby, you've gathered the pieces. Maybe I'll start to believe. Ooh, shana, ooh, shana, ooh, shana, ooh, shana, ooh, shana, ooh, shana, ooh, shana. Looking up that mountain top, I said, how do we begin to climb? Wishing I could speed right through to all the joy, just manipulate time. But now I am yours, so I'll stop wandering through those feeble lies, 'cause now you bring me all I could ask for. You give me all that I need, and baby, you've gathered the pieces. Maybe I'll start to believe. I guess I'll start to believe. I guess I'll start. I guess I'll start. I guess I'll start to believe. And though my doubts close in, I know that you'll be there. I won't despair, my dream coming true. Who knew? Baby, it's you. And though I falter, I lose control. Your soul pulls me through. Baby, it's you. You know just what to do. You bring me all I could ask for. You give me all that I need. And baby, you gather the pieces. Maybe I'll start to believe. I guess I'll start to believe. I guess I'll start. Whoa, yeah. I guess I'll start. I said I guess I'll start. I guess I'll start to believe. I guess I'll start. I guess I'll start. I guess I'll start. I guess I'll start to believe. I guess I'll start to believe.
Hey, welcome back to Voices for Change 2.0. I'm Joe. The beautiful lady sitting next to me is my wonderful wife, Rebecca. Hi, baby.
Hello.
And if you're just tuning in, we are currently talking to Dr. Beth Frates. And Doc, thanks for joining us from the wonderful town of Boston.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a word out.
Thank you for having me.
My talkers suddenly don't work too good. So, go ahead, babe.
Well, actually, we'll just hop right back into the questions.
Yes.
I read on your website, Dr. Frates, that you are also a wellness coach. Can you tell us about that and possibly how it relates to mental health as well?
Definitely. Thanks for asking. So, I mentioned that I went to medical school and I specialized in physiatry. Then I got really interested in preventing stroke, studied exercise, nutrition, topics that aren't covered in medical school that are so critical to our health and well-being. And once I learned that information, I wanted to share it as the teacher in me. I wanted to share it with everyone, and it was 2006 when I co-authored that book, and I started lecturing everywhere about the importance of exercise and diet to prevent heart attack and stroke. And suddenly I realized all this lecturing may not be doing much. I am a firm believer in Francis Bacon, knowledge is power, so I thought, well, if I could just fill everyone's noggins with all this knowledge, we'll all be leading healthy lives together.
Right.
I thought about doing a research study. So after someone went to one of my lectures or read my stroke book, I wanted to see if their behavior had changed. So I was talking to some colleagues here in my department at Harvard, and they said that's a great idea, but you don't need to do the study because we already know some data about behavior change, and we know that if people listen to a lecture, perhaps 10% will make a change, but the other 90 will think about it, they'll feel motivated, but that won't be enough. So knowledge is power, but it's not powerful enough to instill lasting behavior change. And ultimately, at that point in my career, 2006, I was really looking for lasting behavior change. This is, sorry, Joe?
Just
Agreeing.
Got it.
Yeah.
So that is not something that was covered in my day in medical school. Right now, there is an emphasis on motivational interviewing, which means the physician or therapist or clinician works to motivate the patient, not just to instill the knowledge. So I needed to go back and study about behavior change. I was led to health and wellness coaching because that is an area of medicine, again, a new area in healthcare where the whole focus is on behavior change. It's not about lecturing and giving all the information. Yes, you give just-in-time information, but mostly you're looking at motivators, obstacles, strategies, and strengths of the patient or client, person, we'll call it, in front of you so that they can make changes to their lifestyle that will empower them to exercise daily, eat a healthy diet, get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and be able to enjoy a healthy body, mind, and joyful heart. So it was the health and wellness coaching. I trained in a number of different, programs to get a sense of what they can provide, and a lot of it went back to my psychology studies in college, where I mentioned I was a psychology double major, psychology, biology, and self-determination theory, really motivational interviewing, appreciative inquiry, so many different psychological theories and techniques are utilized in health coaching. So then I became certified in that back in, I guess, 2009. And now health and wellness coaching, actually, they're going to have there is a national certification for coaches, and hopefully they'll become part of medical practices where patients who want to make the change, they're not able to do it on their own, and a visit with the physician is now, as you know, 15 minutes. You could make an appointment with someone certified in health and wellness coaching or a behavior change expert, motivational interviewing expert, and be able to work with them for an extended period of time, more like a half hour to an hour, to work through a plan for you that will allow you to not only adopt healthy habits but sustain them.
That's really important, you know. I know just for me, and I think back too, you know, we've tried doing things in the past to improve ourselves, you know, various yoga programs.
We're always trying to do something to improve ourselves.
Yeah, eating.
May not always be successful, but
eating healthier, you know, and being able to have that point person to, you know, spur you on, to guide you on the journey. You know, it helps keep you focused, and you know, that's key, you know.
Yes.
What advice do you have for someone interested in starting a path to wellness?
That's a great question. So I would say a couple of things came to mind as you were sharing your experiences on being really a lifelong learner. It sounds like, Becca, when I heard you chime in with, we're generally trying to improve ourselves, and that is what I call, and a lot of people in my area of lifestyle medicine, we call a wellness journey. So we're all on our wellness journeys. Some people don't acknowledge it until later. In fact, I was on a wellness journey, I think, starting when I was 18, when my dad had a heart attack and stroke, meaning I keep trying new things. I keep investigating the latest literature. I keep experimenting with different yoga classes, with different vegetables, with different recipes to try to enhance my health and well-being. So that's a wellness journey. So first thing is really to acknowledge and become aware that this is a journey, and we do start and stop. There's a trans-theoretical model of change. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one, Prochaska's model of change. Is that something that you guys have covered, or?
No.
Okay.
No. Could you tell us about it?
Sure. This might be very useful.
Okay.
So, and you also might be able to relate to this. There's different stages of change. The first is pre-contemplative. Well, it's just as the name describes. I'm not even contemplating making a change. You could imagine this in a smoker. I have different clients that have been smoking, and they will say, nope, can't do it now, too stressed. Not even gonna consider quitting. No way, doc, no how. Right?
Right.
So, you know, the old-fashioned way, and I guess what I was even taught in medical school was to continue this conversation until they gave me a quit date. So that would be to sort of arm wrestle, strong man them down. And you haven't met me, but I'm not a big person, so strong arming and wrestling actually doesn't really work very well for me anyway. But it does not work if you look at the research for people in pre-contemplation. So when somebody's in pre-contemplation, and you may, and listeners may be in pre-contemplation with something right now, and it might be smoking, it might be drinking, it might be exercising. There's no way I have time to fit in exercise in the day. I mean, come on, I'm a working mom, I've got to take care of my elderly mom, I've got all this other things going on in my life. There's no way I'm going to exercise. So that no way is a pre-contemplator. The next phase of change is called contemplation. So people, by the way, can be in contemplation for months, maybe years, chronic contemplation. This is, I really should quit smoking. This is, I really want to be fit. I really want to find an exercise that I love that can fit into my day so that I can do this routinely, have friends that do this with me, and it can be really part of my life. I want this. That's contemplation. I want this.
Okay.
Preparation is the next phase, and in preparation, it's, okay, I'm sick of talking about this. I'm sick of wanting this. I have found a yoga class that I am going to try. Now, I'm going to give it a go next Monday, and I know the class I'm going to take, and I'm going to give it a try, and so we're prepared. We've really made plans to move forward and take action. The next phase after preparation is in fact action. So we are going to the yoga class, been going to the yoga class, say, for 6 months. And then after action is maintenance. Maintenance is we've been doing this healthy habit for over 6 months. The thing about these stages in the trans-theoretical model of change is it doesn't necessarily go straight up a staircase. It's really a little bit more spiral, and one can slip down. In fact, from maintenance, and I've been here before, I actually shared this in a Sanity Snack via Twitter, but you're in maintenance. I've been a runner for a long time, and I enjoy yoga, and I was running for years, and then I had kids, and basically things piled up, and I stopped my own exercise routine, which is so odd because if you know me, it's just synonymous with me is running. So I went from maintenance really to, I would say, contemplation. I would say I was in contemplation for a while, meaning I need to I went from doing it regularly to, wow, I'm not doing this. I need to start doing this now, but how can I? Have to finish my book. I have my toddlers. I've got my work. I can't do it. I want to do it. I can't fit it in. So you have to realize that there are stages. And when you're in maintenance, it's not like, well, we're done. I don't have to worry about this anymore because life throws different challenges at you at different times. And if you just acknowledge which stage you're in, or the clinician, or your loved one, your spouse, your partner, your friend, acknowledges which stage you're in, then you can work from that stage. So if you're in a pre-contemplative stage, or let's say your loved one is, then the best thing you can do, the research shows, is give that person empathy. And it's truly remarkable as a clinician, because I've tried it both ways. Remember, I was trained in the strongman arm wrestle approach with smokers to just tell them, well, it's really bad for you and you need to find a way to quit. In fact, we have to put a quit date on the calendar because this is the best thing you can do for your health. When you smoke, you increase your risk for cancer, for heart disease, all this whole lecture thing, and then make them give me a date. Now, how many people follow through with that date? Probably no one, because no one even comes back for follow-up after a visit like that. But now, since I've started this more motivational interviewing kind of coach approach, when someone says to me, I smoke and I'm not going to quit, my response is, I hear you. You're smoking now, and there's no way that you'll quit right now. And the truth is, they look at me like I have 5 heads. That no one has said that to them before.
Can we
can
we just interrupt you for just
Doc,
can we just interrupt you for just a quick second?
Sure.
I apologize. We do have a caller on the line.
Okay.
And his name is Craig, and he's from Houston. So we'll bring him in.
Yes, I know Craig. He's from Twitter. He's a Twitter friend.
Yes. Hi, Beth. Hi,
Craig.
It's great to call in. Oh, I'm about to cry just with tears of joy. Woo! So anyway, Beth has been tremendous and been very supportive. I've followed her on Twitter, and I'm gonna and goodness knows I can talk, so I'm gonna try to cut this down to being real short and succinct. I had a severe spinal cord injuries, multiple, about 6 years ago, and I'm here in Houston, Texas, so arguably one of the medical capitals of the world, and all of the and I've been a stock market trader for, you can tell with the tone of my voice, and this is on diazepam, mind you, I've been a stock market trader for about 20 years, and so where you can make money on the market going up or down, and I got a thrill on it, and I was real good at it. So but by sitting down for 20 hours a day, and I stopped exercising, going to the health and wellness, that was not. And I used to play football in junior college, so I went from being doing all the right things to not. And so health, not following health and wellness is what contributed to my injuries. And then you know how well, I won't get too much into it, but I just didn't get the right treatment when I needed it. But so all the doctors said that you're not going to be able to have another desk job again, and you're not going to probably be able to work again. And unfortunately, I just didn't get some of the right help. It just is what it was, and is what it is. So I had to go towards, and I used to smoke. You know, being a stock market trader is not exactly the calmest job in the world, and so I had to quit smoking about 2.5 years ago. I quit, and then I was a facilitator for the American Chronic Pain Association, and so the purpose of my call is just to reinforce what Beth Frates is saying, because if it can happen just like with your father, and mine probably isn't as serious as that, but it's pretty serious. I had dropped foot. I couldn't walk. Every time I tried to walk, I'd fall down. And then all the doctors are telling you, you're not going to make it. And it's not a pity party. They say the same thing to people who have cancer, and they beat cancer. So I didn't blame the doctors. Right. But so I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to focus on health and wellness and mindfulness. Which, believe me, I'm not there by any means, but I'm getting closer. And so, and I'm also bipolar 1, which I use to my advantage. So for those who have bipolar, you can use it to your advantage, and I've gotten some Wellbutrin, and it's helping me. But some of that stuff makes your back real tight, So I'm not taking as much as I want to. But so anyway, getting to the point of the mindfulness and the health and wellness, when doctors were not available to help me, I had to help myself. And this is past prayer. This has nothing to do with religion. This is completely separate. So I just focused. I let go of the anger and getting to Beth Frates' issue. So when I couldn't be the facilitator for the American Chronic Pain Association because of my spinal cord injuries, that really hurt me, because I couldn't help others, and that's what I love doing. And so I had to focus on myself. If you can't help yourself, you can't help others. So then slowly I started throwing away my anger, and probably about a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I started throwing away my anger, and then started channeling my energy towards mindfulness, and then just doing everything that I could, Lori Shemek, Beth Frates, and following Dr. Amen, if I'm pronouncing that right, and just following, and just doing everything that I could right, and just proving the doctors wrong. And so by staying positive and looking at Beth Frates, she has so much wonderful stuff on Twitter. And I'm just telling you, with spinal cord diseases, injuries and diseases, but the injuries more so, I literally was told I was never going to have a desk job again, and probably not going to be able to walk again, and all this other stuff from top doctors. So now I can walk no problem. I could go out there and bench press 300 pounds no problem. But there's certain things that I absolutely just daily functioning I can't do until I've got 2 more surgeries, 1 more fusion, and 1 more laminectomy discectomy. But and I'm going to spread them out. So my point is, if it weren't for mindfulness and health and wellness. And of course, now I've got one of the top surgeons in the world. Thank God. So, and this has been a long struggle. But so there's really no excuse whether you have bipolar, whether you have high anxiety, because I've got both of those, or you just don't think you can make it. There's always a way if you seek out. God put the greatest ambassadors on the world for a reason, and Beth Frates is one of them. One of the best as far as I'm concerned. And so just listen to Beth. Anybody who's listening to this, listen to her. She knows what she's saying. I can promise you that, and she's helped me. Sometimes I'll have anger issues. Saying what, and there's lawsuits involved. But money, I made money before. I'm not worried about that. But the anger can be very, very destructive to you. And so when I look at the mindfulness and see all the tips that Beth Frates puts on Twitter and stuff, and that syllabus she had from Harvard, because I'm probably going to get into health and wellness, and I know I am, and it's just so wonderful what you're doing, Beth, and what the two of you are doing, broadcasting, for people who I've got a combination of physical and mental. That's not a fun thing. But if you channel it properly, you can be a wonderful testimony for others to follow. And I'm just very, very grateful. And smoking, I smoked for about 20 years. That's not an easy habit to quit. And so you've just got to, and so I just thought, you've got to find a bigger reason why that should be a lesser reason to do in your life. And I found it, obviously, because it can affect your muscles and all the other blood circulation, all that. So no excuses, people. so listen to Beth, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful, and if you live in the past, you die in the past. So I just look at this as this would be an example to help others, who just like Beth's doing for people like me. So I just wanted to call in and say I'm going to listen to the rest of it, but thank you, and you're just. Sorry, I'm really high strung. I was really nervous about calling in. so thank you, Beth. This is just when we hang up, I'm just going to cry with joy because she's really, really wonderful, and y'all are awesome for broadcasting this with her.
Well, hold on, Craig. There, don't just run off the line.
Okay.
For goodness sake, I need to share. You've brought up so many wonderful points that we can build on that are really on target to the show. So your calling in has enhanced the show tremendously. And first of all, thank you so much for your kind words. Really, you're too kind, too gracious with that. And also, you need to follow Craig because Craig has a great sense of humor. You may have caught that in his comments there. Very positive, wonderful sense of humor. He uses those
comedy trumps tragedy.
Yeah, exactly. And he just, yes, so I would follow Craig, actually, if I were you. But let's talk a little bit about some of your points that you made really so powerfully. The fact that about bipolar, I have come to believe, working with people, and I have a dear friend who's a psychiatrist, Ned Hallowell, who manages a lot of patients with bipolar. Now, remember, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I don't actually manage patients with bipolar, but I can tell you that I've been working with Ned and with his patients, and what he says to them, and I think this is really important, is he says, you have a brain that is very powerful. In fact, you have a Ferrari for a brain. You have a brain that many people would love to have. You just need to learn how to manage that brain. You need to learn how to put the brakes on. You need to learn how to drive that powerful brain. And I've seen him talk to patients. We've been together, and I've seen how the face and body language of patients changes when they realize, wait a minute, this isn't a bad thing. This isn't a thing that I should be ashamed of. This is a special brain. This is a brain that can lead me to higher ground. I just need to work with it. And the first thing is to accept, be aware, like you are, Craig, and to work with it. So I think I'm glad you brought this up because I do think on the show we might have other listeners who have what we call, I love Dr. Denise calls it a different neurostyle. Dr. Denise McDermott, who's also on Twitter and a good friend of mine.
She's awesome too. Yeah, I should have mentioned her too, but she's awesome.
Yeah, and so it's a different neurostyle. So we all have special brains. And by the way, we're all on spectrums of things. We all know this in psychology, psychiatry. I mean, we learned this back in college in my psychology days. It's all a spectrum. It's all just a big spectrum. And so I just want to make that point first. And then the other point I want to say is you're really taking a coach approach. So this is going to segue into what we started with talking about my health and wellness coaching and these different stages of change and how we can take a coach approach with people in our lives, acknowledging which stage of change they're in. If they're in pre-contemplation, like I mentioned, and maybe Craig was, years and years ago when he didn't want to quit smoking because perhaps, Craig, you said, I'm in a stressful job and I can't quit this smoking because this is my stress.
I tried to justify it daily, weekly, monthly, yearly.
Right. And so, but then you move into contemplation, and when someone's in contemplation, you can look at the pros and cons of the behavior if it's smoking. So if you're working with someone, a friend, a family member, a colleague, and they say they're contemplating it, one idea is to go through pros and cons with them. Now, you ask them the pros and cons. You don't give them the pros and cons. The thing about coaching is you bring out the wisdom of the person in front of you, of the patient, of the client, of the friend. You bring out their wisdom. That's your whole job when you are being a coach, to bring out the true beauty and inner wisdom of that person in front of you, which to me is the most glorious job one could possibly have, is to bring that out in people. So you ask questions of them. What would be a pro for you if you quit smoking? What is a con of quitting smoking? And you go through those. Then when someone gets into preparation, you can talk about, well, you sound like you're really ready to do this. What do you need to get in place to quit the smoking? Well, I think I should get a doctor's appointment. I think I should get a patch. Okay, well, want to call right now together, the doctor, and we can see if you can get that appointment to really get a concrete plan, and sometimes even with preparation, a commitment to do it, saying out loud, I will start exercising and go to the gym on February 14th. Just saying it out loud sometimes helps people in preparation. And then people in action, well, they're already in action, but you want to get them to maintenance, and they want to get to maintenance. So it's talking about the rewards of the new behavior. So it's quitting smoking. Well, you probably don't smell. You probably feel more comfortable. You probably don't have as many highs and lows from the nicotine. You probably can be a little more stable. You're certainly saving money. And to talk about all the positives and the rewards about the healthy behavior. And in maintenance, we can't just forget people in maintenance. We need to continue to remind people, like Craig, it truly is remarkable, honestly, that you quit and you've remained cigarette-free for 2 years. It's a big feat.
Absolutely.
I mean, congratulations on that, Craig. We really need to call that out and say that is really one of the best things you've probably done for your body and your brain, and good for you.
And it makes it, thank you, and it makes a difference in all aspects. You know, the circulation of the blood flow to the bones, to the joints. You know, with the spinal cord issues I have. Exactly. You know, that's the biggest thing. Plus the money thing. Now that I'm on Social Security disability probably for another year. So but even if you have plenty of money, you're just throwing money away. But most importantly, it kills you. People,
right.
There are certain things that are going to give you joy. Love, happiness with others. Okay, here's one thing that won't. It's called smoking.
It's so funny.
Well,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean by
food should
taste
Craig. Better too.
Yeah, bingo. Right. Changes your taste buds. Now you know Craig's sense of humor. That's why you should also follow him. I do want to say, so what we're doing here, and it sounds like what Craig embraced, and maybe he doesn't know this, and maybe we'll call it out now and see how it feels for you, Craig, or if it resonates at all. But what I try to encourage is for people to adopt the coach approach for themselves, with themselves. I try to do this with my own self as well as with everyone in my life. Someone in the supermarket, my own teenage boys, anyone in my life. I try to use what I call the coach approach. And what I've trademarked in my mnemonic with this, which I want to share, is coach. C is curiosity, to be constantly curious, which we talked a little bit about with Becca and Joe in the lifelong learning. So to be constantly curious about what you can do to be healthier, happier, to have a higher sense of well-being. So you have a curiosity about you, a childlike curiosity that you carry with you each day. Then you have an openness, non-judgmental openness, non-judgmental to yourself, non-judgmental to others. And then you have an appreciation, a real sense of gratitude for what is going well. I sense gratitude in Craig's words today, that he is happy that he quit smoking, that he is happy that he has found mindfulness, that he has found some people on Twitter that can provide the support and information he may need on a daily basis. And he has doctors, fantastic doctors. You heard him being appreciative of that. So the A for coach is appreciation. And then the next C, there's 2 C's, right, in coach. The next C is compassion. So having compassion for others and for self. So going through life realizing that, I look at people and I think they're doing the best they can. they're doing the best they can in the circumstances that they have. You know, someone cuts me off. I'm in Boston, so someone cuts me off in traffic, and I don't get upset. My kids always say, my boys, they're 18 and 16. Why didn't you honk, Mom? Just honk. And I'm thinking, there's no need to honk because truly I'm safe. I mean, if I were unsafe, I would honk, but I'm safe. They know what they did. They're probably having a very bad day. Who knows? Maybe they were fired. Who knows what they're going through? So going through life with this sense of compassion for other, but also for self. So when I may stumble a bit myself, I have to say, well, look, I'm going through a hard time too. I've got a lot of stress. It's okay. I didn't respond exactly the way I would have wanted to in that particular scenario, but it's okay. And then the last piece of the coach approach is the H, which is honesty. So to be honest with those around you, I'm feeling uncomfortable. That question you asked me, it makes me uncomfortable. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling scared. I feel angry right now. Just being honest with what you're going through. And, of course, honesty with yourself, not to deceive yourself, which is sometimes hard to do. For example, when you're smoking and you're saying, oh, I need this. There's no way I'd be able to get through the day without this cigarette, right? So, but honesty with yourself, I'm going to need a personal trainer. I'm going to need to put time and money into this. I'm going to have to stop paying for Starbucks or whatever it is, and I'm going to have to collect the money and get at least 4 sessions of personal training in because I know I won't do it on my own, or I'm going to need a buddy because I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this on my own. This is what I need right now, being honest with oneself. So that's the coach approach. I know, Becca, that was one of your first questions since the break. Well, what is this wellness coaching? So that I wanted to share that after all my studies and different programs I've taken and trainings I've done in health and wellness coaching. I just think if we can all adopt more of a coach-like approach for ourselves and for others, I do believe the world would be a happier, healthier place.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
First of all, let's let Craig go. As he said,
sorry, Craig.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm just listening. Yeah, I'm listening to the gospel. So no. So, yeah, she's dead on with she. Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. I'll still listen. She's awesome, and everything she said is so true. And it's, if it was that easy, everyone would do it. So it's not going to be easy at first, but just like anything, over time, it gets easier and easier. And before you know it, it's a part of your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, have a great rest of your day, Craig.
Yes, thank you for.
I will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, my pleasure. I'll listen to the.
Okay. That was such a thrill because I've never heard Craig talk. We've only communicated via Twitter, so that was really fun. Thank you.
That was really cool.
He has a radio voice.
Yeah, he really does.
A DJ.
Yeah, have him on. Have him on as a guest.
Yeah. So
we are running short on time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
unfortunately,
we've about come to the end of our show here, but if you want to just tell the listeners a little bit about how they can get in touch with you online, then we should be able to wrap it up with that.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I hope people had some takeaways. I am primarily communicating via social media on Twitter, which is Beth Frates, MD, BETHFRATES, MD. I have a website I'm upgrading at the moment. It's www.wellness-synergy.com, but I'm in the middle of upgrading it, so you can go there. But it will be highly improved very soon. So Twitter would be a good way to follow me. Thank you for this opportunity, Joe and Becca.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure having you on, and
Thank you.
We're grateful to you for taking the time again out of your day to speak with us. Especially considering how busy you are.
Mm-hmm.
And we would absolutely love to have you back on again,
maybe when your next book comes out.
Exactly. We know you're in the process of writing another book.
That's right.
We would love to hear about it, once it's out. And, where can people get your current book?
So
what is the title?
Yep. So it's Life After Stroke, and I'm a co-author with Julie Silver, Joel Stein, and I. And you can get it on Amazon, Life After Stroke. If you've had a stroke or a loved one has had a stroke or friend, it would be a good resource for you. Hopefully you'll find it helpful.
Awesome.
Great. Well, thank you so much again, and we just hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
Yep. Stay on the line.
Okay.
Stay on the line, and we're going to be closing out the show with Charlie Peck's cover of Home.
Great.
Don't miss the Mental Health Memoir of the Year, It's Not Your Journey. It's Not Your Journey is the true story of one woman's 20-year battle with mental illness and her recovery from a suicide attempt in 2013. Rebecca Lombardo candidly reveals her real and raw emotions in dealing with depression, bipolar disorder, the loss of her mother and brother, and more. Pick it up today on Amazon.com or visit www.RebeccaLombardo.com for more information.
Join us next week as Rebecca and Joe continue to battle the stigma of mental illness. Follow us on Twitter at Voices for Change RJ and on Facebook at Voices for Change 2.0.